Well, hello to everybody. Here it's Teresa Sanderson here with Dr. Farah Laurent, my dear friend and fellow nurse entrepreneur. And I'm just really excited to connect with all of you today. Our topic is from rejection to resilience. And we're going to get Dr. Farah Laurent's thoughts and ideas on thriving in nursing, right? And so I think it's really important right now with everything that nurses are going through and the challenges that nurses have. It's important for us to talk about how can we thrive. And also, though, Dr. Farah brings to the table her own personal story and her experience of going through that. So, Farah, thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much again for having me. Always a pleasure being on with you here. Thank you.
Same. Oh my gosh. So, you know, for any of you who do not yet know Farah Laurent, she is a certified badass nurse, and she's worked as faculty at universities. She's worked with hospitals and organizations. Her true passion, though, is coaching nurses and helping nurses make money moves. And so later this spring in March, she actually has a conference coming up. Her very first making nurses making money moves conference is coming up on March.
March 8th. I think you froze. I think it's still going. Let me double check.
Somehow we lost connection there. Are you with me, Farah?
Yeah, I'm here. I think it froze for a minute. Yeah.
I don't know what happened. That was so strange. I have the strongest Wi-Fi signal. But anyway, what I'd like to do is just give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to our audience, tell them a little bit about you, and maybe dive into that story, that very first story of yours, how you were told as a nursing student, I don't think you're
Yeah.
ever going to really make it in this role.
Yes. Thank you so much. So really, really the summary is started my career in Canada as a novice nurse and been nursing for about 20 years. So I've held multiple roles, like Teresa mentioned, from the emergency department to education to both in academia, the clinical setting, and then a bunch of different leadership roles. So really to any new nurse, maybe new graduate nurse that's currently looking for a residency program or a senior nursing student, I really want you to listen to this. This is why I always share this story. So 20 years ago, a clinical instructor had asked me, like, what type of nurse do you want to be? And I said, well, I wanted to be an emergency nurse. And she was like, you'll never be an emergency nurse. You shouldn't even try. You should go the traditional med surge type route. So of course I didn't listen. And me and another nurse had the opportunity to start in the ER because we listed our top favorites. So the ER was the top. So me and another nurse out of, I think, 110 of us got to go to the ER. So that's why I urge nursing students to really take clinical rotations very seriously, because those rotations, the nurses you meet, the charge nurses, like, really get to know the staff and know the leadership team, because that potentially could be where you work. And it's essentially like an unofficial interview, that I like to say. So really, fast forward to the story, not only did I get one offer in the ER, I got two offers in the ER. I took the one that was the trauma hospital, and they actually hired me before I even took my licensing board exam in Canada. So that was like back then when there were no real residencies in the ER at that time where I lived. So it was very unusual. So I just want to let you know that we're in 2025. So it is possible for you to get into any specialty area, and that you don't necessarily even have to start in the hospital if that's what you want. There are so many different opportunities in nursing that you could do, community, whatever it is that you want. So I'm a big advocate for that. And obviously, like you, Teresa, supporting our novice nurses and the next generation, I think is very important. So that's kind of what I do as a nurse career coach now.
Yep.
And then as a speaker, and then now as the host of the first Nurses Making Money Moves conference. Another passion of mine is really empowering women and particularly nurses to understand that they can generate their own income and wealth, and that we don't have to shy away from talking about money and being able to use, like you talk about all the time, knowing what we know as nurses, our knowledge and skills, and translating it
Yep.
into profits, whatever it is that we do, whether it's a product, but really I'm all about service-based businesses because it's a little bit easier. So just know, even as a nursing student, you could start tutoring or doing something like that where you can actually make some income if you want to start a side hustle. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I'm going to backtrack with you just a little bit until, for that experience of when you were told, you'll never get into the ER, be able to work in the ER as your first, position. What was the impact of that statement on you when you heard that? How'd that affect you?
Yeah, so like I would say like for a small moment, like most students, you're like, oh man, like, it's like for a moment you're like crushed and you're like, it's like this is an educator. Like you would think they would want to like uplift and support and say, yeah, you can do it.
Right.
And so that only lasted a short time. And then, with my type of thinking and personality, I'm like, all right, watch me, lady. Like I will do what I want to do. I was like, because who's gonna stop me? Nobody, and I have that mentality. If you want something, you can just make it happen. And that's why I really was intentional about making the theme of this conference network visibility impact. No matter what impact you're trying to make, whether you're a nursing student, you have your, nonprofit or whatever it is, you have to be determined, you have to be consistent and rooted in your values. And everybody else might be telling you no, but as long as you believe in your vision and your purpose and what you want to accomplish, it is possible. You will get some no's, but just keep pushing and being persistent. One of my favorite quotes is persistence beats resistance. So just definitely, there's a way. And then I didn't understand the power of networking early on as a nursing student, and even in my career, and the power of visibility. So that's why I was very intentional of naming this conference theme, Network Visibility and Impact.
Love that. Love that. And I think it's really, interesting. We're aligned, you and I, in a couple of different ways. First of all, as entrepreneurs, as nurses who believe in the freedom, flexibility, and all the fun that comes with entrepreneurship. Now, that's not to say that entrepreneurship is for the faint of heart, right? And that it's just simple overnight success or anything like that.
Yeah.
But, for me, my history goes back to been a nurse 34 years, crashed and burned from major depression in 2010, unable to work for 3 years, right, due to depression. And I shared this story with someone yesterday and how I literally reported myself, self-reported as an impaired nurse at the time to the Kansas Nurse Assistance Program, because truly I couldn't make decisions. I could not function as a nurse with my mental health the way it was. And unfortunately for me, that landed as a very positive, supportive experience working through the nurse assistance program. But the nurse I was talking to said, now, wait a minute, I've been a nurse for 30 years. I didn't know that the assistance program could help anybody other than people struggling with substance abuse. And I thought, and I think for me too, I kind of felt that. But at the same time, in the middle of that depth of depression, all I thought was, is there any way I can protect my license here? Because I don't know if I'll ever be able to come back, number one.
Right.
But yeah, so that was like an experience all its own. But I've been blessed to make it through to the other side and learn about so many resources and things. And now, Farah, I work as an entrepreneur because it is the way that I can take the best care of myself. And trust me, everybody who's listening and watching, I've worked a lot harder for a lot less money over the years. So I think it's just interesting when we can get our mindset right and recognize that we truly do have valuable skills, gifts, and talents and expertise that we've gleaned in our time in nursing that is transferable,
Yeah.
easily transferable into income. And so I'm excited to be part of the Nurses Making Money Moves conference because, entrepreneurship is a way for me to thrive, even as someone living with depression, right? And nurses deserve to thrive. We all deserve to thrive. So, Farah, tell us a little bit more about um, your thoughts around the conference and what you're really hoping for participants to gain during that experience.
Yeah, so that's a great question, and I'm excited for you to be one of the main speakers. And basically, the whole vision of the conference is, um, number one, my whole intention is to make conferencing fun.
Love it.
Let's get that straight. So that's number one, because I want to make sure that, because I know I've spoken to some nurses and I've attended some conferences where it's a little different depending on the topics and stuff, but sometimes it can be a little bit boring, right? So, or like kind of dragging and they're kind of the same. So my intention is to make it very fun, very exciting for the nurses to want to attend. So one of the things that I have in place is I have a DJ all day that's going to be there, and I have a cocktail hour from 5 to 7. And it's going to be a great opportunity to network. So, and it's at the Tampa Museum of Art on Saturday, March 8th. The real vision is to bring together nurses from all over. So there's nurses from Canada that are coming, all over the US, with all different experience, from nursing students all the way up to nurse executives. And then the value proposition that's really different is I'm inviting other industry experts, female professionals in the speaking space, personal branding, personal style. I have a stylist actually just went live with Renee Lindo. She'll be speaking about, positive style, image, and how that can impact your career and your business. And then also marketers, social media influencers, because I think it's important to bridge that gap to make sure that nurses can learn from other industries, whether it's for professional growth or for business growth, and kind of mix it up a little bit. So that's kind of the whole vision of the conference. And what nurses will learn is basically how to take their current skills, how to self-promote, how to use personal branding and to become more visible, to get more opportunities, whether it's to get into education, leadership positions, grow in their career. Maybe they want to do publications or, write articles, whatever it is, or start a side hustle, because it is possible for you to still work full time and still generate some income doing what you love on the side, using, like you said, your skills and expertise to make some money, and really just to facilitate and give the actionable steps to do so. Because I really don't want any gatekeeping happening. We're really going to give you actionable steps that you can take and implement right after the conference. So that's kind of the vision. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I think it's really exciting. And, there is a lot of struggle among nurses, I know, in the entrepreneurial space, just being able to price services, right? And put a price on the work that you're doing. And how would you, I know for me personally, I went through that struggle. I know a lot of nurses struggle with it today. We're used to giving everything away, right? Right now, even at the hospital, though, our nursing rate is bundled into room and board. So there's no way even for the hospital to say, what's the value of nursing, right? Nobody can really say that. So that's kind of all we're conditioned to. And so we come out as entrepreneurs and, oh my gosh, I'm selling a course or I'm selling a coaching session or this or that. How do we put a value on that? And, my advice, Farah, always to nurse entrepreneurs is own your worth. Own your worth, right? Because you come to the table as a nurse, you're credentialed, you're qualified, you're licensed, you have years of experience. We have to be able to own our worth and charge a rate that, and trust me, when I first got started, a coach told me there's this range, right? If I charge above this line, then I feel like I'm charging too much, and that gives me a terrible feeling, right? If I charge below this line, that leaves me feeling like I've been ripped off. So there's this sweet spot in the middle where we want to have our pricing. And trust me, I was on the lower end of this for a long time, just
Right.
trying to figure out what is my value, what is my worth. What advice do you have for nurses? That's a very common question that I get, whether they're looking for a new job or career role, or whether
Mhm.
they're in entrepreneurship trying to set pricing. What advice do you give on that?
Okay, good. So I'll start with the career side. So even as a new nurse, a lot of nurses don't know that they can actually negotiate their salary, even as a novice nurse. I didn't know that. And a lot of times you just get the offer and you're like, all right, cool, let me just take this offer,
Yeah.
right? But statistically, it shows that HR expects you to negotiate actually. So typically you can negotiate, I would say a good rule of thumb, number one, do your market research for what city you're living in, what role, all that type of stuff. So you have something to compare to. And then I would say, let's just say a clean number. Let's say they give you like 100,000 as a new nurse, let's say. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you can typically ask for at least 10,000 or 15,000 more. So it gives you a buffer, and then just kind of go from there and see what it goes. And then really, I would say wait till they offer it, right? And then say thank you for the offer, and say, I've done my market research. I was looking, expecting more of a salary closer to X. Do you think that's something that we can negotiate or talk about or explore? And then the worst they can say is no, right?
Right.
But you have to at least take that ask and find out.
Mhm.
And then let's say you've been in a role for a while, but there's no actual promotion happening. I would say a good time to ask is around right before performance evaluation. And then really, a lot of, and I think I've done this before. I thought, well, I'm getting this new degree, so they're automatically going to promote me, right? That's not
Mhm.
necessarily the case. So it's almost like you have to pitch yourself and promote and say, like, why should you uh, get promoted? The reasons why, what have you
Mhm.
done? So they want like a fact sheet so that you can come and have that conversation and write a letter, do some research and see how you can do that. So those are a couple tips on the career side. On the
Awesome.
on the entrepreneur side, I would say, I follow Rachel Rodgers all the time, and her story, she talks about how she was underpricing as a business coach and as a former lawyer too. So she just decided to double her pricing.
Mhm.
I think if you're currently pricing something, you probably should double it because you're probably underpricing. So that's like one rule of thumb she always says,
Yep,
like double your pricing.
at
Um,
least.
and then the other thing is stay away from hourly pricing
Mhm.
because you actually hurt yourself in the long run. So in her book, she explained it phenomenally. Like she explained it so well. The better you get at what you're doing, whatever service or whatever you're providing, the
Mhm.
faster you get. So now if you're doing hourly pricing, you're actually hurting yourself because you're doing things more efficiently. So you're
Mhm.
actually making less money because you're more efficient and productive. So
Yep.
you should not do hourly pricing and you should do value-based pricing. So for me, again, I struggled, like you said, in the beginning, but let's say, for example, there's a new nurse. They have no job, zero income. And I
Mhm.
work with a lot of nurses from California. A lot of them are starting out at about 130 to 140 or 150 a year.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, I need to even just restrict my pricing because if I'm working with you for about 3 months, and in that short time frame, within a month or 2 months, you end up getting 150K,
Mhm.
I think I should probably charge a little bit more. Right? So
Yep.
Um, I think you have to just kind of look at it that way. And it's really the value that you're bringing, and it's the
Mhm.
transformation.
Transformation. Yep.
You can't really sometimes even put a number, and people might say, well, like, what if people don't pay that? Well, there
Mhm.
will people that'll say no, but
Mhm.
that's not your clientele. So
Exactly.
you need to even qualify your leads because you don't want to work with everybody, uh,
Mhm.
because you want to make sure that you have good clients that you can serve, and that it's a good working kind of relationship, right? So that's what I usually say. That's why I do my consultation calls, and I now charge. And some nurses are like, "Oh, you charge for consultation?" Because before I used to be for free, but I used to be
Yeah.
on the phone all the time on
Right.
Zoom. I'm like, well, I
Yeah.
can't do it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Time is money.
And time is our most valuable asset. It's
Yeah,
our most valuable asset. Yeah, I agree with so much of what you threw into all of that. And just thank you for, the clarity on nurses negotiate your salaries. The offer is a starting point,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
See if it aligns with what you're looking for. And if it doesn't, then negotiate. Then say, I was really looking for something more in this range. Is that possible? Fantastic advice. I also
yeah.
love, go ahead.
Oh, wait, and one more thing. You can negotiate other things, not just the salary. So, like, if it's a 5 day a week position,
Yep.
maybe you don't want to work 5 days and they're not willing to go up on the salary. You could say, well, can I do 4 days instead, with, kind of negotiate that.
There you go.
Or maybe hybrid work or something like that. Yeah, yeah,
And it's all about, I talk a lot about daring to do nursing differently, right? That's the name of the podcast. And I think we all have to dare to do nursing differently, because the way we've always done it is not working. It does not create thriving nurses, right? So we have to step up to the plate, advocate for ourselves very professionally, and let our needs be known, because it's only when enough of us step up to the plate and make our needs known and clear that change will happen, right?
yeah,
If we continue to just conform to the broken system as it is, then the system's going to percolate right on,
yeah,
but if we
yeah.
continue to challenge it, then things can change. Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
Yep. Yep. I love, one last thing. I'll just spin off of what you mentioned there. I love pricing project based, right? When for my entrepreneur stuff, everything that I do in my business, I like having kind of flat fee pricing. There's no surprises in it for my client. It's kind of all
yeah,
inclusive, however long or short it takes me, it's all the same.
yeah,
But when they hire me, it's as you say, they're looking for the transformation. I'm
yeah.
going to take you from point A to point B in a
Mhm.
certain process, complete this with all the bells and whistles, everything you need, and that's what you're paying me for. Much like you would pay a tax accountant or an attorney or anybody else. That's kind of how I set my pricing, and that's worked out really well.
Yeah,
Just taking all the questions out of it. But the other thing is, you know, as entrepreneurs, we are not here to serve all people.
yeah.
We could never serve all people. Everybody's not going to resonate with me or you.
Mhm.
Um, so it takes all of us to be able to get the work done, I believe. So there's never, in my opinion, really any competition, because nobody can show up like Dr. Farah Laurent, and nobody can show up like me, right? We both have different ways of
Yeah.
doing business and reaching and serving our people. So you're not
Yes.
looking to serve everybody. It's okay to say no to clients if they don't align with you. If you just get that bad vibe,
Mhm.
trust me, no amount of money is worth it for taking on a client that doesn't align with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And the other thing that I wanted to quickly talk about is, I think some nurses are realizing the importance of just investing in themselves. Even as novice nurses, I have this conversation a lot. A lot of them will say, well, I don't know if I should just get my ACLS or BLS or NRP or whatever, because the hospital is going to pay for it. And I'm like, well, if you want to be marketable, you need to start investing, right, in your
Mhm.
certifications, professional development, and same thing, in entrepreneurship, as we know, that you can have some coaching or invest in programs and things like that, because it's all about personal development, and that's really the biggest growth, whether you're still at the bedside, clinically, in leadership, whatever, or in
Mhm.
entrepreneurship,
Yep.
is that constant growth that you're going to get from reinvesting in yourself or in the business. And then don't look at it as like an expense. It's more like, what's the ROI, like the return on investment that you'll get. And a lot of times, the novice nurses that I work with, when they get these positions, it's not just like they make more money in that. But it's life changing when you're starting in a specialty position that you're excited about and you want to be in, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Yes.
and it's like their mindset, their perspective, everything changes, even their confidence. So that's kind of what we're talking about.
Mhm.
As Teresa mentioned, when we're talking about that transformation, and sometimes you can't really put a dollar amount on that stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of my, I think I heard Robin Sharma speak within the last year, and that was just an awesome experience. But he said, was it him? Yeah, I think it was him. He's like, if you, whatever amount of money you want to make within the next year, you need to be willing to invest 10% of that in your personal development.
Hmm.
Wow. So think, 300,000. Okay, I need to put 30,000 into my personal development so that I can grow into the person
Yeah.
who can bring that value. Man, so powerful, right? But it is an investment. It is an investment in ourself,
Hmm.
and in the service that we can provide to others.
Yeah. So, and the other thing I forgot to mention, again, back to the conference for a minute, is
Yeah.
the VIP evening, which is March 7th. And basically that's by invite only. But if you're interested, definitely reach out to me, or if you want to reach out to Teresa, she can give you the info. What it is you'll get the opportunity to uh, meet all the speakers and hang out with me and the speakers, have dinner and cocktails at a restaurant downtown the day before the event. Because a lot of times when you go to conferences, people are busy, you can't really ask questions to the speakers and things like that. So that's really the concept of how that came about. So that's actually, it was Dr. Kiana Jones who gave me that idea. And I think it's a phenomenal idea because we get to hang out before the conference. And think about even all the speakers, some of them do have coaching that they provide. Uh,
Mhm.
and you get to really just be in the room with everybody. So, definitely reach out if you're interested in that.
That is incredible. That is incredible. And we are at the point we're going to wrap this up, Farah. But what I would love to do is give you the opportunity to just give a quick conference overview. Where can people grab the link so that they can sign up and come to this thing? Because I'm excited. March 8th, I am heading to Tampa. I'll be there on the 7th. I'm going out for dinner and having cocktails. And, and this is just going to be a conference like none other. So I'm super excited about it. Tell them what
Yeah.
they need to know.
Yeah, so if you go to nursefair.com, the website, you can click on event and the link is there, or just follow me on LinkedIn. And I have, the links there that you can get the ticket. And then just message me if you're interested in the VIP option March 7th. Again, it's happening at the Tampa Museum of Art, which is right downtown. It's about 8 minutes from the airport. And then Tampa is an international airport, very easy to get to. And there's some good affordable flights to there, and then all the hotels, if you want some recommendations, you can just message me. But tons of hotels downtown, walking distance, and it's right on the river walk, so there's lots to do, whether you're coming by yourself or with your family. And if you've never been to Tampa, it's a real cool city to visit. And again, there'll be nurses from all over the US. It's not just nurses in Florida, and also in Canada too. So you get to network with entrepreneurs, nurses, nurse executives, and female professionals that are in the business space. Yeah.
Sounds amazing. Well, I am definitely looking forward to it. And for those of you who are watching, um, one thing you may not know about me, I'll just share this before we finish up. I'm an associate degree RN. Every time I believe I've rode my little degree as far as it'll go, new opportunities have opened up for me. Why has that happened? It's because I've invested in my personal and professional development year after year after year. So, come to the Money Moves conference. I think it's going to be an amazing day. Invest in yourself, invest in your future. Instead of picking up another PRN shift, maybe give yourself the freedom, give yourself the permission to grow yourself on March 8th with us.
Yeah, and honestly, one connection can, change your whole career or your business. We'll also have, like, somebody will be doing live podcasting, so you can get on a podcast, and it's just going to be a great opportunity to meet so many different people that are really crushing it in the industry. Um, and yeah, I look forward to meeting everybody and seeing you. Thank you.
Sounds great. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in today and for joining us. We will see you next time on Dare to Do Nursing Differently. Bye
And
for
the
now.
tickets are running out, so get today.
Get your tickets. Bye.